Hi, this is Chris Howard, host of Plugged In with Chris Howard. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from Major League Baseball, NHL, and UFC, and professional golf, BetOnline remains the number one source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to the BetOnline's casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline, the game starts here.
In Europe, Cool Ranch Doritos are called Cool American, an attempt to describe the chip's ranch dressing flavor, which isn't a mainstay outside of the US. The term Cool American, however, is more than a zesty mix of buttermilk and onion. It's a combination of words that conjures imagery of a certain type of person, one with blue jeans, a carefree attitude, and sunglasses. And not just any sunglasses. Ever since this brand first appeared in the 1930s, they have been an American icon. They have outlasted fashion trends and found fans in both average Americans and Hollywood celebrities, including Tom Cruise, Madonna, Robert Redford, Andy Warhol, James Dean, JFK, Marilyn Monroe, Audrey Hepburn, Muhammad Ali, Taylor Swift, and Garfield the cat. Despite nearly going bankrupt in the 70s, this company is now the #1 eyewear brand in the entire world, and their signature styles are synonymous with the look of that's right, cool American. And that's why this week's On Brand is on Ray-Ban.
We're all jazzed up, nearly having a cow. We want your favorite show, and it's on right now. It's on Brand.
Welcome to On Brand with Jon and Marisa. I'm Jon.
I am Marisa.
Okay, so I see what you were trying to do there.
See,
you were like,
you see what I was trying to do there.
I was like, it's obviously not. Oh, fun aside, my friend Joaquin, who doesn't listen to the pod.
So you won't hear this.
Openly doesn't listen to the pod, says it's not for him.
Okay.
That's fine. Thank you. He went to Iceland when we worked together years ago and had Cool American Doritos in Iceland. And I thought that was I was like, how perfect. What a perfect name for those. And I've wanted a bag of Cool American Doritos ever since. And then I was like, okay, it's clearly not Doritos. Is she doing, I thought it was for a minute. I thought it was going to be Hidden
Pringles
Valley.
Part 2.
Yeah, we already have to start dipping back into the only 56 brands that exist. No, I thought it was going to be Hidden Valley.
That's a really good one.
Hidden Valley Ranch. That seems very American. This episode's dropping on July 3rd, so I knew it'd be something American. And then when you said Tom Cruise, I was like, it's Ray-Ban.
Oh, yeah. Ray-Ban. This is just such, to me, a classic, iconic American brand. A U.S. company. They're not still made in America. For a long time they were. And it screams. If you had to dress up as an American for Halloween, I feel like Ray-Bans would be part of the costume.
It's interesting because I feel like, yes, it is definitely an iconic eyewear brand. I have a funny story to tell about it when we get into the show, but it also feels a little dated. I'm kind of curious to see where they're at. I don't remember the last time I heard anyone say I'm saving up for a pair of Ray-Bans. I'm going to run to the mall and grab some Ray-Bans. I feel like sunglasses have become so easy to obtain, and I'm kind of the more middle level sunglasses, a Gap sunglass when it's on sale.
I think my ideal price point, this is interesting, the psychology of sunglasses. If they're too cheap, I will definitely lose them. Mm-hmm. If they're too expensive, they'll stress me out. And I'll sit on them in the car and it'll ruin my month.
Right. And I'm terrible about putting things in that little velvety satchel or the clamshell.
Never.
I have to put a thing in that clamshell.
That clamshell is good as gone. Okay. Throw it in the trash on the way out of the sunglass hut.
I can't. I'm one of those people that got to keep the clamshell. And then I clean the house. I'm like, do I get rid of the clamshell?
Yes, babe. You get rid of the clamshell.
And clearly, I put it in storage. Another thing about glasses that I will say, this is not a shout out, but it is to my friend Aaron, who lives in Ohio, and my brother Rob. They both worked at this place that made sunglasses.
Whoa. Made?
That manufactured them.
Wow.
And the thing about it is, they made many, many different brands of all price ranges at the same place with probably the same-ish materials. I mean, I'm sure there was for Gucci, or if that was one of the brands, they might have been a little nicer. But once I saw that they were kind of all made in the same place, it felt like they were the same thing.
Sunglasses to me, because it's like, it's plastic, right?
Yeah,
if it's plastic, it's like, well, I guess there's like nice plastic. Like it's not the plastic that like a crate of raspberries comes in. There's like different types of plastic.
For sure.
But
there's nicer plastics.
It feels like how much, like a nice pair of sunglasses could be in the $400, $500, $600 range.
Right. I'm sure Kardashian sunglasses are unobtainable to me. They're probably $2,000.
To me, my limit is $38.
I think to me, my limit is $38 too.
Right now, though, I will say to my credit, I was just saying if they're too cheap, I'll lose them. I have a pair. My sunglasses that I wear were like $7. They're from Target, and I like them so much that I bought 2 of them. So I have like an extra. So I always have 2 pairs of sunglasses floating around, and I've gotten so many compliments on them, and I'm like, it's Target. And to me, they feel the same as like nicer sunglasses.
I think that's great. And
it's great.
Let's just pause for one quick second.
Great.
Do you see how you just told me you bought 2 of the same thing, and I supported that? And was like, I think that's wonderful. You need that. That's great. Why is it when I do that, that it's like, it's like that, it's like that scene in Game of Thrones, like shame.
So do you ever buy 2 of the same thing that like you use? Like if you bought like 2
Always.
like forks, I wouldn't be like, John, 1 fork is plenty. Like, no, you sometimes things you need multiples of.
If I like something, I almost always buy duplicates of it. I don't, I've always done that.
Yeah. If it's something you use, I totally understand that. And especially a place like Target or a lot of these companies where like the turnover of things are changing, the styles are changing so much that like I knew if I don't buy another pair of these now, I panicked that I lost them, and so I like bought another one. If I don't buy another one now, like it's gone.
I know.
It's gone.
I hate, like I had a pair of Doc Marten like canvas slip-ons, and I like wore them to death. I ended up spilling bleach on them. I loved them.
You still wear those.
They know that now I had to retire them because they've started to literally fall apart, and they didn't sell them anymore. And I was like, and I like ended up on like that Marquee or whatever that like website, it like looking on like eBay until I found a gently worn pair, so I was like, I gotta have these back.
Did you buy them?
I'm wearing them right now.
Wow, so you got the used pair.
Yeah.
Great.
And talked him down. I threw in make an offer. He accepted it, had him within a week.
Oh my God. See, that could work the other way, where the things that you have, you could sell. So you could post them on that same website that you shopped from. You could find a buyer in Ohio, who knows where.
Here we are again. Like, I feel like I just brought this up. Like, I'm very supportive of you anyway. So sunglasses.
Where is my lunchbox?
I'm saving those. I'm going to give those out to a fan. Some happy housewife or
happy housewife. You're looking at one, baby.
Oh, that's true. Some gay somebody. So, we'll get into sunglasses. Let's see. Should we talk about what has anything happened this week? Anything exciting? Has anything been poked or prodded this week in your life?
Nothing's been poked or prodded in my life. Has anything been poked or prodded in your life, John?
That is such a weird question, but yeah. I've been both poked and prodded in the last few days because I had a colonoscopy.
This is actually really, you're like, I was going to say Matt Lauer. It wasn't him. You don't want to be the Matt Lauer.
No, I'm Katie Couric. You're Matt Lauer. I'm Hoda.
You're Hoda. I'm Jenna.
Yeah.
You are like Katie Couric, and you are reminding, maybe some of our listeners have been putting it off. This is your reminder. John just got a colonoscopy, and he is the ambassador to like encourage everybody to make their appointments, stay on top of your health.
Yeah, and I'm also like Katie Couric because I live streamed it on TikTok so everyone could see that it's not scary. I mean, it's like everything you hear. You always hear the same thing from everybody. The worst part about a colonoscopy is the prep is what they call it. You got to make your colon Alistair approved clean. That thing
Alistair wants to see his face in your colon.
I'm surprised you don't do colonoscopies for people because you're only dealing with the cleanest of colons.
Oh, that's true.
But yeah,
no, he would want to administer the fluid because he would want to be involved in the process of cleaning them.
Right. Yeah. It is like if you have not done it, just a quick little how it works. You can't eat basically for 30 hours before you go in. And I had to drink.
Wait, can I ask, what was your final meal before the colonoscopy?
Probably not doctor approved.
Was it?
Skyline chili.
Oh, God.
But that was on Wednesday.
Okay, this is like testing the power, the strength of the prescription.
Well, and I'll be
access.
honest, anytime I know I'm going to be put under, I assume there's a 40% chance I'm going to die. So I want to enjoy those. I was like, I should have Skyline one more time just in case this is my last meal.
This is your last meal.
My colonoscopy was like in the morning on Friday. So I knew that it would all be taken care of. But like to get ready for it, I had to drink 4 liters. So picture a 2-liter at the grocery store.
That's rough.
You buy 2 of those.
That's rough.
Full of this thick, salty laxative that you have to drink for the whole night before.
Why can't they make it like a little caramel?
That's what I said.
Like now, in this era we live in, don't even get me started on how many billions we're spending sending people to the moon.
Okay, can you leave space alone?
Can we divert maybe 500 million to cracking the code on pre-colonoscopy prep?
Yeah.
Get it down to a 1-ounce caramel and we will be in business.
Somehow make it the experience of having a Cadbury egg.
Great.
Like just a chocolate with a fondant. You poo for a couple of times, you're good to go. But man, it was, I won't go into all of it. It was miserable. Like it just took forever. You're not allowed to drink anything. You're so thirsty. You go into it. By the time you've done everything you have to do it, you are so hungry. You've been up all night. You're so tired. You can't drink an ounce of water. You can't have anything. You wait for 3 hours in this room with other people. It's like being in jury duty. I couldn't get like Wi-Fi. And when I say it's like jury duty, you're just looking around at everybody. You're like, am I you? Like we're all
you're
like
all the same.
Everyone seems a little compromised in some way, and I'm like,
they're struggling. They're hungry. Their
They're
buttholes
hungry.
are sparkling. Everybody's really not at their best.
yeah, we all know what we're there for.
Yeah.
Our pervy doctor who wants to get in our bung.
Any
And
hot guys there?
to be honest, I
Yeah.
think my doctor's pretty attractive.
Oh, okay.
So great. So now I have this attractive doctor. Picture the scene of me laying there. They're like, "Can you roll over on your side?" So I feel like a seal, like a sea lion rolling over to my side. I've got all these like IVs and cords and things stuck to me. I'm completely naked, except they had me keep on. They're like, they took me to my little prep room and like, okay, so could you remove your pants and underwear and then put back on your shoes and leave your shirt on and then put on this gown? So when it was all said and done, I have shoes and socks on, a t-shirt
boy.
and a gown, and my buns and legs are
That's
naked.
a look.
That is a look.
You know what? If you're bold, Lady Gaga, Met Gala, that's your look. If you want to be bold, truly.
I have never felt less like Lady Gaga at the Met Ball than I did in this situation.
Wow.
And then they like roll you in, and then they have you roll on your side, and then the doctor comes up behind you and like lifts the sheet up so you just feel like a cool breeze on your buns.
Ooh,
and then the
that sounds
anesthesiologist was like, "So you're gonna feel a little coolness in your hand, and then you'll start to get drowsy." I mean, as she was saying those words, everything got wavy, and I was out, just gone.
That's fun.
I wake up, I'm in another room, it's all done. They say everything's fine, and then I went about my day.
How do you go about your day after a colonoscopy? If anybody's listening, they're wondering if they can like go back to work right after.
No, I was super groggy.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't talk. You have to be picked up. They won't even let you Uber home alone. You have to have a friend there. My good friend Leah came and picked me up, and it was.
She had a hot bowl of chili waiting for you in the car.
I started this with Skyline, and I'm ending this with Skyline. I was sitting there.
Your colon is finally like, oh, thank God we've had a break. Oh, God. It's the best we felt in years. Oh, no. There's more chili coming.
Not a sight of White Castle, nary a Long John Silver filet.
Not an Arby's roast beef rocking down the pipeline.
Don't bring up Arby's. I am
yeah.
still stung by the fact that we've lost our main Arby's in Hollywood.
Yeah,
but-
our flagship Arby's is closing, and John's really sad about it.
Yeah, so that was my big colonoscopy adventure.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's
and
good
it's like
for
one of
you.
those, my doctor, I have stomach issues and he wanted to check it out, but it's like one of those, like I don't have to go back for 10 years. It's like one of those things when you're done with it, you're like, okay, like it makes you feel like an adult. Like it sucks to do it, but you're kind of glad you did.
I'm going to say it. You're a rock star.
Okay. Speaking of Rockstar, oh my God, perfect segue.
Yes.
Have you seen, talk about human spirit moment.
What?
Yesterday,
Yes.
Coldplay did a concert. Did you see any of this footage?
No.
I'm getting goosebumps. I'm already tearing up. Everyone, pause the pod. Unless, Al, does that
Pull
hurt our
over,
ratings? Keep the pod going.
Shoulder of the freeway, pull over.
Get your TikTok out and search Coldplay Michael J. Fox.
Okay. Even these 4 words, I'm struggling to not weep.
Those 4 words, Michael J. Fox is brought out onto the Coldplay stage.
I can imagine.
Plays guitar for them. I'm literally gonna cry. And then Coldplay starts singing like, go, Johnny, go, 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 from like Back to the Future. It's perfection. And then fireworks go off, and it's just like, holy shit. It is a moment.
I was just gonna say, does he wear Ray-Bans in Back to the Future? I think he does.
He might, actually.
I think he does.
He wears... I forget. I feel like he does wear glasses. By the way, Back to the Future, one of my top 3
Oh my
trilogies.
God. If you haven't watched Back to the Future in the last 3 months, pop it in the DVD player.
Back to the Future, Jurassic Park, and Star Wars are like my top 3 trilogies.
You can watch Back to the Future any time of day.
And it's one of the ones, like Back to the Future 2 is even better than Back to the Future 1. Back to the Future 3, I didn't love the love interest. What's her name? Mary Steenburgen.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just didn't love her. But, I mean, those two together.
If she's listening, we're huge fans otherwise.
Of course. I've never wanted to support an actress more in my life. You know what kills me is when I read that Christopher Lloyd was 47 in the first Back to the Future. And I assumed he was like 84.
That one's a tough one to swallow. We talk about this once in a while, how it'll be like, you'll see like Golden Girls were actually like 39 or they're like startling facts like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. Are we aging better? People used to age worse.
I think people used to age worse. At least it's not one of those ones where, like, did you hear Christopher Lloyd was actually younger than Michael J. Fox when they made Back to the Future? You're like, what? Like, no, Michael insisted that he looked like an old, withered man.
Sometimes that happens.
But then when you do go watch him, if now, with that information, when you see him in that movie again, you'll be like, his skin is pretty, like, soft and, like, he doesn't look old. It's just that crazy white hair.
It's that crazy white hair. Yeah, I guess, like, gray, white hair can... I'm a little bit older.
Die if I ever go gray or white. Like, I'm gonna be a blonde boy till my dying day.
The new NBA and MLB season is in full swing, and BetOnline has you covered with the best odds and biggest promotions and live in-game betting on all your favorite teams. Head to BetOnline today to stay updated on all the action. BetOnline, the game starts here.
So Ray-Ban.
So have you ever owned a pair of Ray-Bans?
I have. Here's my fun Ray-Ban story.
Great.
So when I first came to Los Angeles and I got in the film industry, I worked in like art department and then transitioned into doing props. And I did props on like low budget movies. And I worked on this one comedy. At the time it was called McClintock's Peach. It was eventually released on video only under another name, but it was such a treasure to work on. Ironically, Leah, who picked me up after the colonoscopy, that's where I met her on this movie.
Wow.
I mean, it had Fred Willard in it. It had like the guys from Kids in the Hall in it, Margaret Cho, and it had Janine Garofalo, and that's where the story comes in.
Wow, fun.
So I'm doing okay, now all these stories are coming back. Here's a side of a side from that movie. For some reason, I think it was the director's or the producer's kid would come to set. He's like a young, like teenager kind of boy and had nothing to do. And he just really liked hanging out with me in my prop van and looking at the props and getting stuff. No.
Teenager boy like hanging out in your prop van.
No.
I don't know.
Okay. God, that brings up another story. So I had a prop van that had corner signage on it from what it had been used before.
That's cool.
And that was my main car for like 2 months. And so
like if you drove to the grocery store, you drove a corner van?
Yes. And so one day it's like parked in my street and I came out and there was a neighbor looking in the window of the van. They're like, I just wanted to see what was in this corner van.
Oh my God.
God, this is bringing it back. Sorry, this is so long. So anyway, that boy, so he would hang out with me and there was like one producer that he didn't like and her name was Patricia. Sorry, Patricia, if you still are living or you ever hear this. And he was like, oh, I came up with a new song. And do you want to hear it? And I was like, of course. He's like, these are the things I like about Patricia. That's the end of my song. And I was like, that has stuck with me for like 20 years. I was like, that is the funniest thing I've ever heard.
Oh my God, this was a teenager?
Yeah, like some kid. I was like,
for
that's
him.
funny. Hopefully he's gone.
That boy grew up to be Christopher Lloyd. That's how crazy time is. This is a mind-blowing fact. That boy was Christopher Lloyd.
That boy was actually 44 years old. Okay, so Janine Garofalo. So when you do props, you basically are in charge of anything that the actor touches. That includes sunglasses. And so I had product placement from Ray-Ban, but I had to give these glasses back. But I was wearing Ray-Bans, the actors were wearing Ray-Bans, and Janine Garofalo, I had her wearing Ray-Bans. And I remember her asking me if she could have him, or hinting around that she wanted to keep him, which in hindsight, now I know that of course I could have let her have him and just tell Ray-Ban, oh, Janine Garofalo wanted to keep these.
She's going to be like wearing them around town.
Exactly. But I was too young and green. I was like, sorry, I have to take these back. And I'm sure I didn't, but in my head, I'm like taking them off her face. Like, sorry, Janine Garofalo, you can't have these.
I guess you'll have to just go to the Beverly Center like everybody else.
Yeah, you're rich. You can get your own. And so I remember being really embarrassed about that like years later. But one of my favorite moments on that movie is we were working on some location. I think it was a stage, and I was leaving the stage and going outside. And as I opened the door, and I was singing a jingle. I was singing, I like the fishes because they're so delicious. I don't remember if I had goldfish on the show or something. And coming into the stage at that exact same time was Janine Garofalo, also singing a jingle. She was singing like, I want my baby back ribs. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, why didn't I give her glasses? We're both like the same person. I wanted to be her best friend.
Is there an alternate world where you're hosting this podcast with Janine Garofalo instead of me?
There was a moment I became friends with the director on that. He was such a nice guy named Mitch, and he was very good friends with Janine. And he was like, there was a moment where he was like,
cool.
He was like, maybe, Janine's in town. Like, I don't think she has anything to do for Thanksgiving. I was like, well, we get together for Thanksgiving. You guys are welcome to come over. I was so desperate to make that happen. Like,
oh my God.
And back then I was probably paging like Mitch, like, hey, call me back. Just seeing if, no big deal. But is Janine Garofalo going to be able to swing by for Thanksgiving? It never happened.
Wow.
But I got to say, Mitch, shout out to Mitch, and then we can get on with the show. I think I told him I wanted to be a performer. This is before I did any comedy, and I ended up going on to like go to Second City and graduate from there. But before I had done any of that,
he was like, John, this doesn't exist yet, but I have this idea that would be like kind of like a radio show. Would it be like, the internet is kind of like people are starting to their rumblings about that.
Yeah.
Maybe like a little radio show where you just chat. You like brands. I don't know. Think about it.
So I tell him this, like, I want to be a performer, but I'm too nervous to. And he's like, you know what? Come, like, let's go shopping. And he takes me to like Barnes and Noble.
Are you like Julia Roberts? Oh my God. This is so romantic. I've never had a guy be like, I see potential in you. Let me take you shopping.
He was really cute.
I think he was your boyfriend.
Oh, God, I wish. So he took me to like Barnes and Noble in Studio City, and he bought me like 3 David Sedaris books. He's like, read these. He's the funniest guy. It'll like kind of get like those comedy juices flowing. And it was just really sweet.
Wow, that's really romantic.
Yeah, Mitch.
The one that got away.
If you're still living, I don't know why I assume everyone I've worked with has passed. Hit me up, bro.
Yeah.
I'm on Insta, on brand the pod.
Directing him to the show Instagram and not your personal. Interesting.
Well, it gets us a like. Okay, I'm done. I've gone.
So wait, I'm asking. You wore Ray-Bans only while you were working on this movie. You've never bought a pair of Ray-Bans. You never wore them in your personal life.
No.
So you're not drawn to Ray-Bans.
I'm not, honestly, a huge sunglass person.
Interesting.
I'm not a huge sunglass person.
Wow.
I do like, if I get sunglasses, I do think the best shape for me are aviators or those like, probably those classic Ray-Ban. They're not aviators. I don't know what that style's called.
Wayfarer.
Probably the Wayfarer.
So I feel like I've seen you in like a neon aviator style.
Yeah, I've gotten like a bright pink or orange Gap something here or there. But yeah, I haven't worn sunglasses in a very long time.
You protect those baby blue eyes?
I just keep my eyes super squinted.
Looking very mysterious.
I can't see you. I never pictured. Yeah, I guess you do wear sunglasses.
Yes, I have to wear sunglasses. My eyes are very sensitive to the sun.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to squint for protecting my face from wrinkles.
Yeah.
But I actually have bought Ray-Bans in my life. When they were $85, which was a big purchase. I think I bought my first Ray-Bans when I was like 19. This is when they had like another peak. They've had several like peaks and valleys in their popularity, but this was when they had a peak, like 2008, 2007, 2006, like mid 2000s was when they kind of like, it was like Mary-Kate Olsen, people like that, style icons for me.
Right.
And then I did get the Wayfarer style. And I will say, it's funny, we'll talk about it at the end when we discuss if they're on or off brand for us. But I find myself, when I'm doing this research for brands, I begin to get an insatiable desire to own the product. Like when I dig into the history and I feel really connected to it.
I hope you never do like a coffin brand or like something really like dark like that.
If you see a big box show up at my porch, let's just say.
I think I know what the brand
is on Coffin Co. I find them to be very charming, very alluring, a mysterious brand. I associate them with like hot people.
Yeah.
Do you associate them with hot people?
I associate them with rich people, I think. I do remember when I was young, now that I'm thinking about it, my mom taking us to like Value City or one of those stores in Cincinnati at the time. And I found a pair of like mirrored sunglasses.
Ooh.
I thought I would die if I ended up getting them, but I wanted those things. They were like cop glasses, pure mirror. I wanted those things so.
Why?
I just thought they were the coolest thing ever. It's like when I moved to LA and I saw a silver metallic shirt at Macy's that was like $200. I was like, must have that shirt.
What's with you and like mirror?
I don't know. It must have been past life. I must have been like a Broadway or a Vegas entertainer. I'm probably Liberace.
Or like a mirror salesman.
But I loved it. In my head with that like silver shirt at Macy's, I was like, it's worth it because I will never tire of that. And
Did you buy it?
No.
Okay. Yeah, like price per wear. Sometimes you do the math on something like a big purchase. You think like, oh, I'm spending, $400 on these sunglasses, but I wear them every day. So divide it like price per wear. Sometimes people do that math.
Yeah.
The silver metallic shirt. I don't know if you're getting the price per wear down on that.
Yeah, I dodged a bullet with that. Though I do want this $400 Kate Spade Heinz ketchup.
Yeah, John posted this on our Instagram stories. I really am strongly urging you to not buy this, but I will understand if you do.
Did you see the zipper pull? It looks like a squirt of ketchup.
Yeah, it's a purse. It's a purse. Let's be real.
Did you see inside all the bags they're making with this collab come with an extra tiny little pocket that holds one ketchup packet?
Of ketchup, yeah.
Anyway, we've been off topic. We're probably 40 minutes into the show already. Ray-Bans. No. Okay, you know what also reminds me of Sex and the City? Do you remember when... Samantha's going out with Smith?
Yes.
And he really starts to become famous.
Yes.
And he's like, I don't want to wear labels or whatever. And she puts on one iconic, perfect pair of sunglasses. And she's like, you got to wear something that the kids can't afford or something to aspire to. That's how I see sunglasses.
Yeah. Which is interesting that you associate them with kind of being luxury because they are like a more affordable, like on the like spectrum of like high-end sunglasses. They're not like Gucci or Oliver Peoples. They're more accessible. And to me, they're just like, the style is so iconic and it is emulated in like every other sunglass brand. You're asking if they're still popular. We'll talk about this obviously at the end, but they are still, they're the number one sunglass brand in the world. And the styles have kind of evolved over the years to where they have the traditional aviator, the traditional Wayfarer, which is like the risky business one. But they've made, slight changes. They have like some that are a little more round or a little more narrow. So you can definitely find a Ray-Ban that will look good on you. And I urge you to try.
It's shocking to me how the smallest difference in a eyeglass or sunglass looks on your face. I have a really large round head, so it's hard for me to find.
We haven't measured your head in a few months.
Last time we did, I think it was 25 inches, which I remember I worked with a woman once and she's like, that's bigger than my waist. And I was like, cool.
We should measure it every like couple months just to make sure it's not growing.
Yeah. I feel like you'd be able to tell.
27. Uh-oh.
Oh, boy. New glasses.
Do you want to hear the history of Ray-Ban?
I don't think so. I think I just want to talk about the 90s.
Talk about Janine Garofalo, just how wonderful the 90s. Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. What a great movie.
I think they're making a sequel for it. I'm not crazy.
Honestly, some things just are so perfect. Just leave them in the past.
I'm not looking it out, but I feel like he's pissed.
He's mad.
He's like, okay, I get it. We go off topic and we're still on brand, but we've gone off topic. So
we have to start the show.
All right, 1952.
So I'll start with a spooky story. How about that?
Okay.
So early in the 20th century, test pilots began flying planes higher than Mount Everest, and they had to defend themselves against temperatures as low as minus 80 degrees Fahrenheit.
Brr.
Brr. That's a bona fide brr.
That's a real brr.
So that's why the aviators would wear the like leather hoods and like the fur-lined goggles. It was to insulate their eyes at those great heights. And then to lift those goggles for even a second was to risk death.
What?
I didn't know that.
Wow.
I didn't know that. So in 1920, Shorty Schroeder, what a name. Shorty Schroeder, dared to take a biplane above 33,000 feet. His goggles fogged, and he had no choice but to pull them off.
And he died?
Moments later, his vision blurred, and his eyes were soon frozen over.
What?
I told this is like a Halloween episode.
His eyes turn to ice?
His eyes
Oh,
froze
that's
over.
why they call him Ice. That's why
they call eyes eyes. That's
Before
right.
that, they were just called looking balls.
That's right. That's the origin. So bring that fun fact to your chip and dip bowl
Your
on
4th
the
of July party.
Schroeder somehow miraculously managed to land the plane with frozen eyeballs. Have you ever frozen grapes as a fun snack? That never appeals to me.
I don't like anything that anyone likes to freeze, like a frozen Snicker. Just eat a nice, normal Snicker.
I hate those like diet things where it's like instead of a bowl of ice cream, have a bowl of frozen grapes. It's like, oh my God, kill me.
Nature sorbet.
So somehow he is able to land the plane with his frozen grapes in his peeper sockets. And his friend, John McCready, helped pull him out of the cockpit. A month later, John McCready is still haunted by the memory of his friend's swollen eyeballs, frozen eyeballs.
Did he live?
He did live.
Okay.
McCready climbed into the same plane to beat Schroeder's altitude record.
Wow.
So he saved his friend, pulled him out, saw the frozen peepers, is horrified, traumatized. And he's like, I'm going to beat your ass.
I'm going to do this. And my eyes are not going to freeze over.
Yeah.
Okay.
So like Schroeder, McCready, he wore goggles that had been designed to seal his eyes from the cold, but they were not dark enough to be effective in protecting his sight from the bright sun and the atmosphere. When you get up higher, the rays, whatever, it's brighter. So now it's 1937. McCready began working with the company Bausch and Lomb.
Heard of them.
Right? Have you heard of them?
I've heard of them.
So they're still around today. In my mind, I've heard of this company, and I'm thinking like eye drops, contact lenses.
Yeah, I'm
I'm in
picturing
that world.
mail order contact lenses.
Back in the day, they made like monocles.
Of course.
Things like that. Which isn't a contact lens, just a tiny monocle.
And before that, it was like car windshields. Like everything was something before it.
Glass that you see through, and then it just changes shape and size.
Yeah.
So McCready, whose friend's eyeballs froze over, he set out to design goggles that would protect the aviator's eyes from like the temperature, but also the bright lights. Because he was like, we're dealing with, okay, the fuzzy goggles, that protects us from like the temperature, but it's also like really, really bright and it like blurs our vision. We can't see, it hurts our eyeballs. So he's like, we need like something like tinted and kind of shady. So this man, John McCready, is credited with giving Bausch & Lomb the original shape, tint, and fit of aviator lenses.
Wow.
So they used to be like that same shape, but they'd be goggles and they'd be tinted. Mm-hmm. And then he developed them with Bausch & Lomb to make these sunglasses. So John Arthur McCready, he's a very cool guy. He's so cool that he invented aviator sunglasses. And if you go to his Wikipedia, it doesn't even mention that. That's how cool this guy is.
That means it wasn't him.
No, it was him on the Ray-Ban website, the Ray-Ban Wikipedia. But then you go to John McCready's website, and it's a list of all the other cool things he's done.
Okay.
He was an American test pilot and aviator. He's the only 3-time recipient of the Mackay Trophy, 3 consecutive years. This is once for altitude flight, highest altitude, once for longest transcontinental flight, and once for an endurance flight of 36 hours, 4 minutes, and 32 seconds. He flew an airplane, a rickety-ass airplane, 1930s airplane, for 36 hours straight.
I mean, I think I'm stating the obvious here when I say Matt Damon would play him in the movie. Am I right? Like, who else is going to do this? Who else is doing this?
I mean, he's going to have to fight Tom Cruise for the role.
I mean, Tom will want this.
Tom will want it.
Tom will want this.
So the agent's going to be like, listen, I'm going to be honest. Tom wants it.
And I'll be like, Tom, here's my address. If I get that cake in December, the part is yours.
We're casting the movie.
Yes.
I love it.
We're now casting it.
So he's credited, yes, he came up with the original shape, look of the aviator sunglasses. So Bausch & Lomb, they're a monocle company. They developed these goggles. Now they think these glasses look really cool. By the late 1930s, Bausch & Lomb starts selling these sunglasses to the public as sporting equipment. So originally they were known as anti-glare. So that was kind of what they were distinguishing them from other sunglasses at the time. The glasses were soon rebranded to emphasize how they could effectively block or ban the sun's rays.
No. Oh my God. I feel like you. I'm like, my mind, I never even put Ray together with Ray.
Same.
Ever.
Same. The sun's rays. Ban the sun's rays. Ray ban.
I love our show.
Isn't it incredible?
I love our show. I feel like right now, everyone is agasp because for some reason, none of us put that together.
There's a 6-lane pileup on the freeway, on the 405, as people are listening to this.
And they've just cried watching Michael J. Fox and Coldplay. What a ride we're taking you people on.
Their child is like screaming in the backseat like, I'm late for swim lessons. And it's like, honey, we're busy.
Bitch, we gotta listen to this.
So they're not yet called aviators at this time, but they're the same shape. They look like aviator goggles, but they're sunglasses. So they call it the teardrop shape. They have the delicate metal frame. They were advertised as having like real scientific glare protection, and they were marketed towards fishermen and golfers. Mm-hmm. And at the time, they cost several dollars.
Several.
At a time when most sunglasses could be bought for 25 cents.
They're going to say, when most sunglasses would be bought for a few dollars. Why are we using such vague terms of currency?
Several dollars.
Several
That's
dollars.
the best I got, several dollars.
I mean, back then, several dollars is many dollars today, and a few cents is a lot of dollars today. So it all adds up.
What number do you think several is?
8.
You think the number several represents 8?
In 1930?
No, like now in life. Like if I say, I have several peanuts, would you like one? How many peanuts do you think I have?
I just want the connectors, but I would like to have probably...
We're not talking about how many peanuts you would like to have.
Now I can't stop thinking about peanut connectors, and Al's going to lose his mind.
How many peanuts do you think I have if I say I have several?
Why is that connector so much crunchier than the rest of the peanut? I guess if you had several peanuts, I'm going to think you have like 36 peanuts.
Wait.
What is the right answer here? 8 is too little. 36 is what? What's several? 12? Just tell me.
I think couple is 2.
Yeah. Few is 3.
You think several is 37?
Well, yeah, and a lot is 100.
I think several is 6 to 8.
No, that is not several.
Al, what do you think?
If I saw 6 cars, I'm not going to be like, there's several cars.
Do you think several is 7?
A couple 2, few 3, several 5.
You guys are idiots.
5 and up.
5 is several.
Anywhere from 5 to 150?
You said that mall had several stores, and there was only 5 stores. Like, that's not several. Several is like 36.
Several is
We'll do a poll.
not 36. I will go on the record saying several is not 36.
Okay, fine. But I now... Hold on. I want to bid on something on eBay. I set an alarm.
What are you bidding on?
I don't want to talk about it.
No,
but
you have to talk about it.
I need 4 minutes.
This is part of the show. What are you bidding on?
You know, the bits and bobs.
You have to say what it is.
It's just a poster.
Of what?
This band.
What band?
Over the Rhine. They're going through their old archives and they're listing all these, like, their old posters, and they've signed them all, and I just want to maybe get one or 2. I can do this without anyone even knowing I'm doing it.
If you notice John start to fall off conversation-wise, you know it's because he's pressing buy it now.
Okay, so
they were a luxury product at that time. So the difference between like 25 cents to several dollars to $35, that is significant. By inflation, it'd be like, that's like $2,500 today. So the first guy to popularize the aviator sunglasses, right now they just have the aviator, the classic aviator we all know, was not a celebrity, but rather General Douglas MacArthur. Do you know who this person is? General Douglas MacArthur.
MacArthur? He's like the famous general.
He's a famous general. I did not do well in U.S. history in school. I did not know who he was. I wanted to Google him and learn a little bit about him. Mm-hmm. He was basically the biggest celebrity at this time. He is described as like a larger than life, but controversial figure. He's talented, outspoken. He's egotistical. He got a 5-star rank. He's credited with like leading us to victory like World War I, World War II, the Korean War. He's accused of murdering his wife's lover.
Good for him. Sometimes you just got to take your life into your own hands.
You know what I hear when I hear all this? Matt Damon.
Oh.
And you know, I Googled him. Looks-wise, not far off.
Could do it. Well,
He
that's
could do
good.
it.
Then we'll go ahead and give the other movie to Tom.
So Tom can have the other one.
Yeah, and we'll get the cake. It's a win, 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 win.
We're casting 2 films.
What if Matt Damon's like, he's like, but I'm not going to kill my wife's lover. That's my one stipulation.
So then we have to say in the beginning, inspired by true events and not based on true events.
Is there anything worse? Is there anything worse?
So this general, he's basically like Taylor Swift or JoJo Siwa of the day.
Whoa. I won't, Al. We all know how I feel about what you just said.
You know, I actually want to issue a retraction. I feel like we came down a little too hard on JoJo Siwa.
I don't feel like we came down hard enough on Jo. I've seen her 3 times since we came down on her. She's worse than ever.
Okay.
She's a nightmare.
Well, off pod, I'll evaluate the evidence and see if I need to amend my stance. So he's the celebrity, the biggest celebrity at the time. He landed on a beach in the Philippines during World War II.
Okay.
Reporters are snapping their pictures. The pictures were in every newspaper. And MacArthur, General MacArthur, put Ray-Ban aviator sunglasses on the map. Are you buying something on eBay right now?
I got outbid! I waited till the last 3 seconds!
Wait, is it done? It's over.
Well, now I have to go to the next one.
There's more?
There's 3.
Jesus Christ. We're making a podcast.
What a no one had bid on it. It was at 0. 3 seconds left. I bid, and it was like, you're the highest bidder. You've been outbid. What a... Oh.
You have to go in bold with your top bid. David lost a craps table because of this strategy. He went in too low.
But no one has bid. You feel like...
No, they do that on purpose.
Well, it was at $19.99, and I went in at $25. I was like, if no one's bid, that $5 window is probably enough.
They're all watching just like you.
Now I know how Janine Garofalo felt when I wouldn't give her those Ray-Bans.
Whew, this is a steamy one. It's also like 110 degrees out today. Getting all pissed off. So they were advertising their Cali Chrome lenses, which was like, so they were kind of coming with these like buzzwords, these marketing buzzwords designed to sharpen details, minimize haze, filtering out blue light. To me, if I see like any mumbo jumbo on a sunglass, I kind of think it's fake.
They have a lot of buzzwords, a lot of
buzzwords.
technologies. Yeah.
So now it's 1952, and we have a man named Raymond Stegman, and he is an eyewear designer for Ray-Ban. He wanted to create a design inspired by a mid-century classic to rival the Eames chairs and Cadillac tail fins.
Wow, those are iconic.
So this is like we're in Mad Men time, a little pre-Mad Men, but Mad Men, where it's like the aesthetics have kind of changed. Now everything is like this minimalist, very geometric shapes, you know what I mean? So this is like mid-century modern, and he wanted glasses that kind of spoke to this movement.
I support that.
So he created the Wayfarer, and this is the glasses' clean lines, subtle curves, and understated details reflected the thoughtful minimalism of mid-century U.S. design, and the Wayfarer stood out as a pair of glasses that instantly embodied the coolness of the era. So this is like, now it's like James Dean, Marilyn Monroe. We're seeing those kind of celebrities wear the Wayfarer.
I mean, is there anyone cooler than James Dean? I mean, that's like his whole look, right?
That's his
the
whole
glasses
look,
and
yeah.
stuff?
Like the Wayfarer Ray-Bans, white t-shirt, Levi jeans. And to me, that is like the quintessential like American uniform. Still, which is funny because it's from like 70 years ago. But it's still like, I don't know, it still embodies like, you could wear that outfit today and you would still look cool.
I got outbid again. I'm listening to every word you say. But I've never had anything like this before.
It's you and like one guy in Ohio.
Al, will you finish the show? I don't care anymore.
How many poster tubes are in your storage unit right now?
It's ridiculous how many posters I own and how I have
little wall space you have.
How little. I think I have one poster hanging up because that's all the room I have to hang up a poster.
Babe.
It's a signed Andy Warhol poster. My friend Leah, who's come up 3 times now on the show. Oh my God,
this episode is dedicated to Leah.
Yeah, to Leah.
Well, if you give someone a ride home from a colonoscopy, you deserve your own episode. I'm sorry, babe.
I'm not going to be able to concentrate.
Put a higher bid. As like your
I put 28
bid.
that time.
So put like 40.
It's too late. They're gone. They're all gone.
They're all gone.
They're gone.
Are you okay?
I am. I actually have the posters already. Okay, but hear me out.
This is not the same as me wanting a backup pair of sunglasses.
The ones I have just aren't signed. So I'm like, next time they come in town, I'll just have them sign the ones I already have.
There you go.
Yeah.
Great. And then you don't have to have 2.
Right. I don't get to have 2. Okay, so he invented the James Dean glasses.
And now the celebrities are becoming unofficial ambassadors for Ray-Ban. So now they're on like the faces of all the famous people at the time, and everyone's picking up the shades to add a touch of style to their summertime wardrobes.
Okay.
So after Wayfarer's heyday in the 1950s and 60s, sales start to take a little slump. Mm-hmm. It's like disco era. People are wanting to be a little bit more flamboyant, a little less like if the 60s were kind of like understated, mid-century modern. Now the 70s is all about like flamboyance. It's like Elton John sunglasses.
Right.
The 70s.
Right.
That's a far cry from like a Wayfarer.
Right.
So they got a slight bump in 1980 from the film The Blues Brothers.
Oh, that makes sense.
However, so the film came out in 1980. The sunglasses are they're like the third character in the Blues Brothers.
Yeah, for
third
sure.
and fourth. I think they're only seen without their sunglasses for like 15 seconds in the movie.
Wow.
However, only 18,000 pairs were sold in 1981, the year following the Blues Brothers. So I don't know if Dan Aykroyd and Jim Belushi were like as hot of ambassadors for Wayfarers as like
right.
James Dean.
Right.
But so it didn't really give them the bump that they needed. And Wayfarers were on the verge of discontinuation, and Ray-Ban was in danger of going bankrupt.
Something's going to happen.
Something big is going to happen. Let me tell you the story.
I feel like, okay, I won't say anything now.
Uh-huh.
I will wait.
Okay.
But I might say something afterwards.
Do you want to write it on a piece of paper and like hide it in your mouth like a magician.
I love this.
Stick it inside an orange.
I'm going to write something on.
Okay.
Okay. All right. What happened?
So in 1982, Ray-Ban signed a $50,000 a year deal with unique product placement to feature Ray-Ban sunglasses in 60 movies per year. 60 movies per year. So between 1982 and 1987, 60 times a year you would see Ray-Ban sunglasses in a movie.
That's brilliant. I mean, that's how I came across them in a movie.
I know, right?
Placement.
As product placement. So that I felt that was like, I've never heard that deal. 50,000 a year feels so low. It's like $1,000 basically, like per film. One of the key placements was Tom Cruise wearing the Wayfarers in 1983, the 1983 movie Risky Business. And that year, 360,000 pairs were sold.
Alistair, would you mind reading what I typed on my phone?
It says Tom Cruise wore them.
Tom Cruise wore them.
Tom Cruise wore them. You know why I know that?
Why?
I only know that because when I did the Tom Cruise cake episode, I was looking up a few facts about him, and I remember something about Tom Cruise helped save Ray-Ban by wearing them. I think he wore them in, like, ended up wearing them in Top Gun, too.
Yes, he's worn them, 3 times in movies, and he has, every time he gives the company a huge bump. And at this time, 1983 movie Risky Business, this was right after their like near bankruptcy in 1981, and he boosted the company. And that year, so as I said, over 350,000 were sold. And then it was like Breakfast Club, Miami Vice, Moonlighting. All of these product placements led to sales of 1.5 million annually. And Ray-Ban has since become an emblem of Hollywood, pop culture. It's a reflection of American spirit. It's continued to play a part in elevating famous characters' elusive coolness.
Yeah.
So it's become synonymous with cool. And when you see it, Tom Cruise is the perfect ambassador because he is just like, he's quintessentially American cool, which is funny because we talked about Tom Cruise in the Tom Cruise cake episode, but there might be a little gap between Tom Cruise on the screen and Tom Cruise in real life. It doesn't matter. When you see Risky Business, you want what that boy's selling.
Well, and like I've never even been torn on Tom Cruise. Like I know what he's like a Scientologist, but I've always thought he is such a like cool movie star. Like he knows how to make a movie. He's from that time period that doesn't exist as much anymore, where it was like, it's a Tom Cruise movie. Mm-hmm. It's a Julia Roberts movie. It's a Tom Hanks movie. And now it's more like it's a Marvel movie. It's a Star Wars movie. And he's of that generation of just iconic movie stars.
We might not have anybody left.
JoJo. What's her name? JoJo
Siwa.
JoJo lesbian? I don't know, man. It's not her. It's not her.
I do consider her to be the Tom Cruise of our generation.
Just no thanks.
Just a big eye roll. So now with the Wayfarer starts to expand, they have only 2 models in 1981, and then by 1989 they have 40 models of the Ray-Ban. They had a funny thing where the original 1950s model, because the way it was like angled, it couldn't sit up on your head. Like it would just fall off if you pushed it up on your head.
That's so funny.
So they had to like redesign, and they made it, okay, we'll make a version, fine, we hear the people, we'll make a version that doesn't fall off your head. Okay, so then they have some that are like slightly more round, but they've reissued the 1950s version that falls off your head also. As the 1990s began, the frames again became unpopular. The 1950s revival that fueled the glasses' popularity in the 1980s had lost momentum, and Wayfarers became outperformed by wraparound frames. I'm talking Oakley.
No,
this is a tough one.
I hate Oakleys. Oh my God. They're like, more than like
Can I say 3 words of what Oakley brings up for me? Guy Fieri's neck.
I won't even try to top it.
Right. I mean, that's where I've seen him more than anywhere else.
It's like the same people that would wear those would wear Jenkos, and then they eventually threw those away and got Ed Hardy. It's like
the same
they
guy.
went on the train of just awful fashion.
I'm seeing like a sunburned head.
And like really white feet because they got sunburned and their legs are burned.
Yes. Blazing red legs and white feet.
Really white feet.
Yes. And a peeling bald head. from the sun, which is ironic because there's sun protection. But I'm imagining the person who wears Oakleys to be like majorly sunburned from head to not toe, but head to ankle.
Which, now that I think about it, because I did enjoy peeling the skin off my body when I got sunburned, I'm surprised I wasn't into Oakleys.
You want a bald boyfriend so you can peel the skin off his head?
Well, I didn't say his head, but let's move on. Let's leave these guys behind.
In 1999, business has taken a hit. Bausch and Lomb of the monocles, sold Ray-Ban to the Luxottica Group, which is they own the sunglasses.
I think that's the company that Aaron worked
really?
at and my
Yeah.
brother worked at.
Interesting. Yeah, they make a lot of different sunglasses.
Yeah.
And they're an Italian company. And they sold for $640 million. So, not a terrible move.
That doesn't seem that high, though. I guess that's good.
You think
Back
we could
then-
have bought them if we really pinched our pennies?
Yeah, we could have. That's just a few dollars.
And then I mentioned the 2000s, they became popular again. It was like Chloe Sevigny, the Olsen twins are kind of wearing Ray-Bans. And vintage Wayfarers started selling for a lot of money on eBay. So 2007 reintroduction of the original Wayfarer design was initiated. So, it was that thing where they had the original cool one and then they tried to come out with the new, they probably had one that looked like an Oakley. And then they were like, you know what? Let's reissue the cool ones, the ones that are selling on eBay. And then so instead of the metal studs on the side, if you think of Ray-Bans, you think they have little studs. You know what I mean? On the side.
I know what you mean. I didn't realize that was part of their design.
That was part of their design. Then they replaced that with the Ray-Ban logo.
Oh, okay.
So a really old one will have the metal studs. A newer one will have the Ray-Ban logo. So yeah, as we were saying, they're still the number one sunglass brand in the world. They have a wide variety of styles. One of the styles I did want to mention that was, if you've noticed, if you ever saw Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, or you might have seen this just in pictures from the past in the 70s. They had a model of sunglasses called the Shooter, and it has a little circle in the middle. And this was for an aviator, a shooter aviator, to put their cigarette in this little hole while they're shooting guns.
Oh, that's cool.
Isn't that so fun? I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah, I like a little add-on like that.
And so many of these things, that was in 1938 that they had this little cigarette holder circle in the bridge. It reminded me of you with your kangaroo pocket in your hat.
Oh, my favorite shoe ever, the little pocket.
Oh, wait, it was a shoe. And you had a hat too.
I had a hat that wasn't kangaroo, but it had a little pocket, and I would see how much stuff I could put in it. And then kangaroo shoe. Anything with a little pocket. Anything I can squirrel away something.
Yeah.
It just allows me to have more stuff. I'm so the opposite of Amish. Amish aren't allowed to have pockets because it's a sign of wealth that you can own things.
Uh-huh.
I want all the pockets. Yet I hate cargo pants. I'm complicated.
I wonder if you were a kangaroo in a past life.
I probably was.
If you used to smoke, I think you would have liked these sunglasses to have a little spot to stash an extra
for
cigarette.
sure. Just walking around the Americana with a lit cigarette sticking out of my eye, sunglasses.
Keep your hands free for eBaying. So to me, they are still a classic brand. They're embedded in American history forever. So then it brings us to our end of our Ray-Ban segment, and I will ask you, are Ray-Bans on brand for you?
Yes and no. I guess I'll say yes, because I could see myself wearing a classic Aviator, a Wayfarer, or classic Ray-Ban glass. I'm not going to go out of my way to get them.
Are you asking for some swag from Ray-Ban?
If Ray-Ban wants to send them out to me like Burpee did, and that would be great. I mean, we're giving you tons of free promotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to say they're off-brand for me because I would wear them. I'm not that excited by them.
Interesting.
I just don't.
They're not. You like brands that are kind of constantly coming out with something new.
I mean, no, but I do appreciate a classic brand. I think Coca-Cola is my number one brand of all time, and I don't think anything is more classic than that. So it's not just about that. But that was a very long way of saying
a light yes.
A light yes on brand for me.
Okay.
And obviously for you?
I haven't gotten Ray-Bans. I haven't worn Ray-Bans in 17 to 20 years. And I think
Several years.
Well, less than 35. So I'll say a few in a few years. And I feel like I'm kind of ready to go back. It only takes me, I'm so impressionable that it takes me looking at 8 pictures of hot people wearing Ray-Bans, and I'm like, I need them.
Yeah, I get it. But don't you feel like maybe you're just going back into... I feel like you can find sunglasses that look just like Ray-Bans.
No, I need to see the little Ray-Ban on the lens. I need to see it on the side.
Okay.
I'm not getting any knockoffs if I'm going to do it.
All right, so you're in. You're all in.
I think Ray-Bans are on brand for me because I think they represent being hot and carefree and young. 3 qualities that I strongly relate to for my brand identity.
That's such an influencer thing to say.
I'm
I
hot,
love it.
carefree, and most importantly, young, because I am several years old.
You are
by your estimate.
You are several years
Only
old.
several years old, so
Wow.
I need to get myself a pair.
What a fun brand to learn about. That was, I'm sure Alistair agrees, a roller coaster ride.
Some fun stuff for your 4th of July party. At the very least, you can share that Tom Cruise personally saved Ray-Ban twice with Risky Business and Top Gun. And that Ray-Ban is based on banning the Rays. Those are fun facts.
If you're a smoker, tape a cigarette under your glasses and be like, well, listen, if it's good enough for Ray-Ban, it's good enough for me. Who needs a light? Happy 4th of July, guys.
That's right.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Well, awesome. Well, I have a few shout outs, not as many. I did a little trickier Insta egg. And if you don't know, every Tuesday on our Instagram page, I post a puzzle that is a clue to what our brand is going to be the next day. If you are able to solve the riddle, there's a very good possibility that I will give you a shout out on the show. And I'm going to do that now for the people that guessed our last one, which was Ben and Jerry's, which was simply a picture of Ben Affleck and Jerry Seinfeld, but kind of mixed up a little bit. So I thought it was a little easier than it seemed to be for people. So the following people get a shout out for the Ben & Jerry's Insta Egg. We've got Mikey Bray, who is a very big Chunky Monkey fan. We have Kara McGrady. We have Sarah Morin, who has been to the graveyard.
Oh, wow.
We have Sam. We have Tiffany. We have Corey Hatton, who you probably remember, his wife Ruby. They listen to the pod together. We've had a lot of influence on their marriage. He has said that we've helped keep their marriage going strong. And we've got Jillian Schulten. And Eric Makes a Mess. He could not get this thing, and he was texting me, and he's like, I don't know. He's like, I see Ben Affleck, I see Jerry Seinfeld, I see black and white and color and lips and sugar, and I don't know what it is. And he had literally all the pieces. The black and white picture was supposed to represent the cow. Obviously, Ben and Jerry, he was right there, but he just couldn't solve it. The poor guy. But I'm sure he'll get it next time. He's gotten it before. And that's it. And again, there'll be an Insta Egg every Tuesday on our Instagram.
That's it for this week. If you like the show, as we always say, please subscribe, rate, and review on Apple Podcasts. You can find us on there. Give us a lovely 5-star review. We'll give you a shout out at the end of the episode. And if you want to see our gorgeous faces, go to Instagram at OnBrandThePod or TikTok at OnBrandThePodcast. There's clips of the show. There's, more fun to be had. And we love to chat with you guys there. We will be back next week with an all-new episode.
And I'm just going to throw this in really quick. Last night I was reading an article about podcasts, and in that I learned that there are over 4 million podcasts. On Apple Music, there are over 400,000 podcasts. So it is literally like grains of sand on a beach. And I just am so appreciative to everyone that has found our little grain of sand and continues to listen to us. And as we constantly show you every week, we may go off topic, extremely off topic, but we will always be on brand.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
This is your before and after story. Southeastern College can help you prepare for a secure and fulfilling career in the growing healthcare field. We offer a wide range of careers to choose from. So whether you want to be a medical assistant, medical billing and coding specialist, nurse, surgical technologist, or another healthcare career, we've got you covered. Become a vital part of a healthcare team and make a real difference. Southeastern College, your future is bright. Visit sec.edu to get started.
Find yourself looking for a new job or change in career? Monster.com is here to help. We are not only here to bring you job postings, but also AI interview prep and salary tools, expert career advice, and top-notch resume services. We've got everything you need to land your perfect job fit. Discover the magic of finding the ideal job with Monster.com. Your future starts now. Visit Monster.com today. Your next job opportunity is just a click away.